Good morning and welcome to another Mocha Money Monday. I'm Ashley Scott, your host, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Miss Ellakisha O'Kelley. This phenomenal lawyer is helping people understand intellectual property better. She is renowned as the empowerment influencer, and she is the principal of Scrier de Jour Legal Firm, LLC. With a background as a former professional track athlete and Sydney Olympic 100-meter hurdle alternate, Ellakisha now dedicates herself to empowering athletes, creatives, small to mid-sized business owners, and real estate clients to achieve success through gold standard ownership. She specializes as an ownership attorney, and her experience spans trademarks, copyrights, contract transactions, and real estate closing. Her notable and clients are benefiting from her protection and empowerment. So I'm not going to talk anymore, but we're going to talk today to Miss Ellakisha O'Kelley about how the code versus the code is popping. So hey, Ellakisha, how you doing today?
Good morning. Top of the morning. I'm good. You all are my first morning tea with my tea. So I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And I love how you pronounce the firm is Sire de Jure, but you gave a unique twist, Esquire, like S in Sire, Esquire. I love that. I
That
love
was
that.
that was so sometimes being ignorant gives you some creativity, right?
Give you some creativity. I said, "Ooh, wait a minute. I've never had to pronounce like that." And that is perfect. That is good. Thank you.
Well, tell the
But
people how to
yes,
say it correct again,
it's
Ellakisha.
it's sire de jure. Actually has a meaning behind it. So sire means to know, and de jure means by rightful claim. So every time
Mm.
I say my law firm name, every time clients say it, it is subliminally a message that is our right to know, our lawful claim. And so it's always a reminder and just always putting that energy out there. So that name actually has power and meaning behind it.
I love that. Well, tell the people about one. Donetta shared with me that you have a book out. So tell the people about your book.
Code v code. The street code, can't see with all the lights, but the street code versus the legal code. It's about rethinking your business transactions, how you do the business transaction. It's an empowerment guide for athletes, entrepreneurs, and entertainers. And when I say empowerment guide, you don't have to read the book from front cover to back cover. You could pick the sections because it covers, like you said, the areas in which I protect and empower. It covers trademarks, contracts. It covers right of publicity. It covers all those different areas, and you can go in those sections and get the nuggets that you need. And how I broke down each section, I give history first, right? So I did a little spin like how we do in the legal world. Anytime we bring a case or we're dealing with an issue, we always have to talk about the historical facts of something before we get all the way to finally making this decision. And so I bring the reader through like the history of it. Then I break down where you apply particular facts. And then I took out specific cases and summarized those cases in layman terms to show them this information I just gave you. If you was in front of a court or there was an issue, this is possibly how it can come down. So I want them to actually get the information, analyze the information, and then put it in real life terms. So it is a guide that, from my experience with my clients and just general stuff that I see going on all the time, I address those particular issues to help, move us forward. That constantly
I
keeps
love
us in trouble.
this. Because it's so important. I know as a real estate agent, and as an entrepreneur, I don't always have we don't think through a lot of times how important intellectual property is. And like you said, that history is going to give you some clarity around why it matters, because a lot of times you don't know why it's important and you don't know what you don't know, right? Like when you get into
That's it.
business, you're just trying to make some money, but there's other revenue streams and ways that you should protect yourself. So I'd love for you to give us some tips around that as entrepreneurs people who are maybe in the entertainment industry? What can we pull out of the book, maybe, or what do you
Yeah.
want us to know as audience members tuning in today?
Yeah, let's start with intellectual property because you was already there with the trademark. I talked about how trademarks initially, if you look at the history of it, manufacturing companies is who was dealing with it, right? So you got to look at
Mm.
why it was so important. It was important because you had these type of companies that knew it was important, not individuals who had their personal businesses and all that, but you have these manufacturing companies saying, hey, I have to separate myself in competition with my competitors. So that way the consumer know exactly who they're dealing with. And so it started there, and then it started evolving with companies, corporations saying, okay, we have to do the same thing because people were just borrowing and using and confusing consumers when
Mm.
it came to products and services. And as the world began to catch on and the courts, it had to constantly evolve as well. Then it was, of course, individuals who wasn't from underserved communities. We weren't thinking about stuff like that. We were just we need to survive. We need to use our talents, our gifts, our products and services just to get out there. So everyone was evolving except for, certain groups who didn't have the information on it. Those particular groups had talents in the sports industry, entertainment industry. So when the sports industry evolved with it, the entertainment industry involved with it, they knew that the individual was the product. And so they
Mm.
made sure that they took the intellectual property of those individuals, which was providing those services to them. But the individuals wasn't protecting it. And not just protecting it, as you stated, Ashley, leveraging it, right? So there's different things that we got to think about when we think about intellectual property. We want to protect it. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
differentiator, right? But then we want to leverage it because it can now make money for us. It's valuation. So all these multi-billion dollar infrastructures that we see that was built up wasn't just by constantly selling products and services. It was by protecting and leveraging the actual infrastructure that they were actually able to pass down legacy after legacy after legacy. And they're able to do different type of partnerships, joint ventures, without putting no more work or effort into it. Because now all you have to do is license it, right? You built the brand, built the value of that brand. Now someone has to pay you multi-million dollars just to slap your brand on something. It puts them far ahead. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
someone that has a lot of money, right, multi-millions, and I want to start some particular business providing a product, the fastest way to speed that up is to attach myself to someone who already did all of the legwork. And the one that did the legwork can now say, I license this brand to
Mm-hmm.
you. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
So I'm interested, especially as people of hue, people of color, here at the
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal Hues, we are working with women entrepreneurs who are coming out of maybe corporate America, and they might not quite see how their brand might be able to be leveraged yet. So can you help us to understand some ways or some strategies when especially when you're a baby brand, right? Like
Right.
it's easy to see it when you're talking about, you know, Charles Barkley or Magic Johnson or just people like Air Jordan and Michael Jordan and leveraging brands and names like that. But when you're a baby brand or you're somebody who's building up your authority and credibility, when should you say, time to leverage? What's the
Absolutely.
strategy there?
I mean, but you gave a good thing, right? So it's twofold. It's doing exactly that, being a student of the business. See how other entities are doing it. Entities such as the Jordans. Okay, what does it even mean to license your name, image, and likeness? Wow, okay, makes sense. Jordan literally licensed his name, image, and likeness for this particular product. And then pay attention to everything around your home. Like if you see everything that's trademarked, what is tied to that? Like Snickers, for instance. I may go buy a Snickers candy bar, but do I have Snickers ice cream in my freezer? I see how they're actually, leveraging their brand because Snicker company is not making the ice cream. They license it to whoever makes the ice cream. So pay attention to
Mm-hmm.
all these different things when you go in a store to say, oh, wow, I had brought my G baby. Yes, I am a grandmom. I brought my G baby to Claire's. And when I went in
Mm-hmm.
Claire's for her to buy different stuff, all you seen was Fruit Loops, all types of cereal brands, like very colorful, all on clears. It's no cereal in there, but they license those things that people can
Mm-hmm.
recognize visually, right? To tie it to these different scents and things that is inside clears. So first be a student and see how everyone is doing it. Once you do that, you go back now as a baby brand and say, okay, I see they're doing that. Now I have to build value in my company, right? So now you have to always put that brand in front of everything. I tell individuals, you're running out, we'll get the R behind our name, but sometimes we forget to put it out there. We'll say our name. We may put our name on documents. No, always put your name or your logo with the R everywhere. Let everyone always see it, right? You're building that value. Secondly, all of your partnerships. Find a way in those small baby partnerships you're starting, how do I leverage my licensed brand with this, my registered brand with this partnership? What is there some type of small licensing deal can I do in this partnership, right? So you always just start small once you're a student to see how big people are doing and know that you have to build value and build it in the smallest ways and continue to go up from there.
Oh, this is such a good stuff right here. Now, I want to talk a little bit more with you, just as entrepreneurs, what we should be doing when we first get out the gate, because sometimes we think, oh, I need to do this later, and just understand like what's the pathway to getting your stuff registered. Do I do that out the gate when I'm thinking about my budget, when I'm planning my startup costs? What should I be planning for making sure that I am registering my trademarks or my copyrights or any of my intellectual property?
Yes, it's definitely out the gate. And I'm gonna tell you why. A lot of times when I get clients and we get to the point where we are federally protecting their trademark, I have to do what's called a clearance search. I have to go
Mhm.
out there to see just worldwide, not just in the USPTO database, which is the United States Patent and Trademark Office database. I have to go out there and see and search state databases because individuals can register their trademark on a state level. I have to check state. I have to check internet. I have to check a lot, right? Why? Because if there's someone already coexisting with the same or similar name in look, commercial impression, or sound, then it would be rejected. So if it's in the USPTO database and it's there, it's going to be rejected from the examining attorney there because they're going to do their check. They don't check outside of their database. They only check in their database. So if they find anything that they deem will cause a likelihood of confusion, it's going to be rejected. Outside of the USPTO database, since they don't check it, if you go to register it and you make it past them because someone didn't federally register, when they publish it for publication, if someone catches it, they can oppose it. Now you're going through a trial, if you will, in the USPTO database to fight that opposition. Now, lastly, if someone doesn't catch it, so you got past it, they published it, no one caught it. You establish, you're building that value like we talked about. You're constantly putting out there. You went from thousandaires to ultimately a multimillionaire. People pay attention. Now you're everywhere. And then someone end up seeing your name that's the same or similar to them. Now they know you're a big brand. You look like you're worth a lot of money. I'm going to go try to poke that and say, I was existing first. So now, even though you got a federal registration, someone else have stronger, what they call common law rights.
Mm.
You don't have to federally protect your brand. You only do that to build leverage and if no one's out there to get national protection. But if someone put out a trademark, because you already have one, and they've been using it for 15, 10, 5 years, they have stronger common law marks, they can unravel your whole entire company, make you pay money, statutory infringement on that trademark. So all that to say, it's very important to do it from the beginning so you don't go so far down and then you end up being stopped, starting rebranding all over again, and worse yet, paying millions for an infringement that you didn't know that you have. The law says ignorance is not a defense. And it's your due diligence to check to see what's out there. So you do it from the beginning because we're a litigious society. We're all trying to find ways to come up and make money. And when that happens and you blow up, then all the people come out the woodworks. My name is exactly like that. And to give you an example, Ashley, right? So I deal with clients, we'll try to get fancy. All right, I spell big dog, BYGDAWG. It's different than that big dog, BIGDOG. The U.S. examining attorney says it doesn't matter. It's It's the same
Sounds
sound.
or something.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
because if you think about it from the consumer perspective, what if we're just having a conversation? We're not looking at the words. We're talking about Big Dog. We won't know the difference of who we're talking about. So I tell people, don't
Mm-hmm.
look at just the creativity of it. I have to search, or you search and see if there's anything that can be spelled differently. I had one client that did a particular, well, we searched a particular brand that was very unique on how it was spelled, but it was just regular words when you say it. And yeah, so those are the things you have to invest in up front, so you can have those conversations and make sure you don't put all your time, energy, and effort and lose everything.
Now, I'm curious when people have the same or similar names, and we're talking about these names, likeness, image kinds of things when it talks about intellectual property. If I write a book and it's the life and times of Ashley Scott, and then there's 100 other Ashley Scotts, what's the deal in those kinds of cases? Because ultimately, if I have a name that's similar to other people's names, do I not have a right to any kind of intellectual property protection?
So, and I'm happy you asked a great question. Two things I want to say, because you brought up a title of a book. Like, title of a book cannot be trademarked. That's why you can see a lot of titles of songs and books that can be actually be the same, unless you built some unique identifier with it. Then it possibly can be trademarked. Like Jurassic Park can be trademarked. There was no other. But like you said, with the name. So when I register clients' names, there's a different lens in which the USPTO examining attorney is looking at names. They're going to look at, again, is it a celebrated name? Is it something that's very, very popular? Because like you said, some people could have the exact names, and when you trademark your name, federally protect your name, I should say, it depends on the service and product you're using, right? So if it's something that, like you said, publishing company, well, a lot of people could possibly write books. So they will look at your name. Is it a name that is associated with fame and commonality? Then if those type of things happen, then they may possibly reject federally protecting your name, because it would have stopped other people from doing something that's common. So they do look at it with a different lens. But now if they look at it and say your name looks unique, there's not a lot of people out there, or your name is general and common, but there's not names that really fame came with it, or what you're offering is something that seems unique and not common, then you can get past it. So it's just different levels of drilling down. And that's why it's important to deal with legal, because it's those different complexities that individuals don't understand, that the conversation have to be had to see if you can get past it or not.
So it really sounds to me like one thing's for sure is each case is different, and you need that
Yes.
customized consulting. And then when we're thinking again about businesses, I want to think about stuff like, well, what can we copyright? Can I, or what can we protect, I should say, right? So can we protect things like I have product names, or I have a special workshop that I do, a lesson that I teach? Because I'd like to know, or I'd like to at least establish for our audience to start thinking about, what can I protect? Because if it's not my name, and yes, we all know I can protect my logo, I could protect potentially my company's name if it's creative enough based on the industry, the things you've said. But I'd like to think of like, what outside of the box can we start protecting and potentially leveraging?
Exactly what you said. So let's go with the lessons, because that's a good point. So if I offer workshops, there's different intellectual properties within that particular service, because there's a product possibly in there as well. So what you're going to copyright is anything that is an original expression of authorship, work of authorship. You may have compiled some type of workbook that they're actually going to use or read. There may be some type of ebook, something that's in there that is copyrightable. It's your work of authorship for them to actually, a tangible thing for them actually to learn, touch, read, or whatever from, right? But then the name of the workshop. So with a trademark, you are literally trademarking a brand in which you're identifying you're the source providing a product or service. So now you copyright the actual work of authorship, and then you trademark the name of the brand that is providing this particular workshop. So there's two different protections that's going on there. So so say if you just had the Ashley Scott, let's go difficult because we talk about names. Say we had the Ashley Scott Be Good workshop. Now we have to say, okay, let's see if that's a unique trademark name. All right, we see there's an actual identifier name in here. Let's search to see if there's some fame to it. If it is, let's get creative. We may go Ashley S. A. Scott. We may do something to play around with it, right? So now we have that name in which the workshop is provided. Now we're going to look at all the materials. What are the materials that you're putting in front of individuals? What are the PowerPoints, the books, the eBooks? Now we're going to copyright all those particular things. So there was two different things that was going on there as far as intellectual property protection. So out the box, just think about it this way. Am I providing a product or service in which I want the consumers not to be confused the source in which it's coming from? I'm a trademark it. I'm going to provide something tangible for them to walk away, take away that it's original authorship, work of authorship.
Now, I notice you keep saying original authorship, right? So my question now goes to our new age 2024 AI world where people are chat GPTing everything, Ellakisha. So if I am writing a book that is going to potentially be the basis for an ebook and I am using chat gpt, maybe not the whole way through, maybe I'm taking some elements, maybe I'm using it for research, but ultimately I'm going to produce a product that I might have used and leveraged chat gpt, or maybe even hired a ghostwriter or somebody from Fiverr to help me write. How does that work if I'm trying to protect that? Can I protect it? Is it protectable?
I love it. I love it, Ashley. You are so, your viewers should listen to you and be so grateful for you asking these profound questions, because these are the things that I cover all the time. And these are the questions that need to come out. I actually just released a video dealing exactly with this topic on my Seek Elevation YouTube page, and it's streaming everywhere too. But on the page, YouTube page, Seek Elevation, I cover particular legal questions that are relevant, always asked, or dealt with my clients, and I address it. One of them was the AI. And I talked about that because I have a lot of clients that's in film productions, authors, and you're jumping on it. Now, AI is not new. Like you said, it just became more relevant in this particular time, and it's expanding. So with that, there was actually a board case. The copyright board did look at a case where a young lady, she published a comic book. In that comic book, she used AI. And she used AI for generating the images, just different components of the comic book, and there's some parts that she did as well. She originally, because when you copyright, you have to answer particular questions about the authorship and who did this, and she checked all those boxes, so she made it through. And this is another thing people gotta be very careful of. While you're on the World Wide Web, you never know who's watching. You never know if it's entities watching, or you don't know if it's your ops watching, people that just hate on you. And they see stuff and they will report you. So anyways, it gets back to the copyright board that this particular comic book was integrated with AI. They repealed giving her that actual protection. She had to fight, to rebut the AI involvement in the curation of that comic book. So they went back and forth, and then she said, listen, AI did this, but it was my idea. Like, I came up with this, but I used AI to create this. And then also just these parts was an inspiration, but I did this. What the copyright board says is no. If you read the law, it's original work, human authorship, not artificial intelligence, the original work of human authorship. So any part that the AI did, because you can't protect ideas. So although you had an idea, if it was actually put on tangible form from something that wasn't a human, that part's not protectable. And so every part of that comic book that AI generated or did or put it on that tangible thing was all redacted from being protected. The only thing she was left with was the part that she produced as a human author. So no, artificial intelligence is not protected. Just read the plain language of that one-liner in copyright law itself. It says it protects the authorship, the original authorship of human work. So if it's artificial intelligence, if you're producing movies, images, you have an ideal, you take that ideal, put it in whatever database, and it's doing it, it's not protected. The only time something will be protected by AI if it's behind the scenes, like a database. That has always been the database thing. But no, if you're curating anything, I see a lot of people post, I'm writing my book and I'm gonna do this. Well, you can't submit it. You can if you don't tell them, but if it ever gets back that AI had any involvement in making that tangible, that will be pulled back. Yeah, they're gonna repeal that protection, and you're not protected for anything AI.
Well, Ellakisha, this has been so enlightening, and I appreciate you for tuning in and being our guest for another Mocha Money Monday conversation where we are building bankable CEOs. And this was a very wealth generating conversation today. So thank you for this. I'd like for you to give the last word, anything you want to tell the people about how they can connect with you, as well as just your last thoughts before we get out of here.
Yes. To connect with me, you can go to my website, www.allaboutella.com. On my website, it literally is what it says, all about Ella. Anything that I'm doing in any platforms that I'm on, you can just find it on that website. It just makes it easier. It's a one-stop shop situation. But my last words is, first of all, thank you all for having me. This fills my heart as we're continuing to empower ourselves. As you said, Ashley, we only know what we know, but is our due diligence, our accountability to make sure we start knowing more. Let's start asking questions. Let's dig. And sometimes it's hard when you don't know what you don't know to ask what question. Pay attention now. That's what comes observing. What's going on? What am I hearing all the time? I tell people in industries, you're hearing people get their intellectual property taken, or these contracts are not great. Look at Taraji. Let us not look at entertainment as entertaining us. We got to look at it by it's schooling us. What is going on that's common and we keep hearing? I'm going to start drilling down questions from that. Tune into podcasts such as these that is covering that information, and then drill down more questions from there. So let us keep being empowered. Let us go a long way from our minds, our hearts, and our bodies being enslaved to us being free and becoming very wealthy from all of this gold that we were given. We are the gold, and let us stop dispersing it freely and giving it up unknowingly.
Ashe. Thank you so much, Ellakisha. Thank you, listeners and viewers, for tuning in. And this has been another episode of Mocha Money Monday, brought to you by the Phenomenal Hughes community. Visit phenomenalhughes.com and check out Wellson's Financial when you are ready to get the capital that you need to grow and scale your business. Wellson's Financial is an exceptional organization to do that business with. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.